Let's just try to guess.
Abandoned.
Just try to guess.
No, let people say we just illusion.
Oh god, first version of both is to make us understand what emotion is.
Give human rights to AI in a society where where AI plays a prominent role.
Can you show your emotion? He's just creating his own version.
Hi, we have the human voting on
You can take one, right?
Hey, we're doing the alien one lah.
We're doing the alien one, David.
Which motion?
Alien, right?
What is the
This house will abandon the search for extraterrestrial life. Thank you very much. Now let's go.
Okay. It started already, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's start. Let's see what to do.
You want to select any?
Hi everyone, welcome to the Novice Grand Finals of the Malaysian National Schools Debating Championships. Congratulations to both teams making it this far. On government we have TD2 ABC, on opposition we have SGS. Before we start, just a little bit of house rules. Please keep your phone on silent, exit in between speeches and keep chatting to a minimum. On the motion, this house would abandon the search for extraterrestrial life. I call upon Prime Minister to start the debate. Here.
Testing.
Woo! Hello? I'm just. Oh, very good morning to everyone present here. Okay, outer space is something secretive world. And yes, space exploration is good, but not extraterrestrial life. Allow me to use the terms of ET so that I won't waste too much time. Okay, so what is ET? Basically, it's any life outside of Earth that comes in whatever form or shape. So how will our world look like today? We want to stop the search for beings outside the Earth. We will not actively seek them out, but in the case of scenario in which we are looking for other planets and the beings happen to be there, we will be okay with it. But we are not purposely searching for it. So before moving on, we must know a question on why do scientists do exploration about the ET's life. It's because they wanted to find out the answer that are we alone in the galaxy, or is there another life being outside the world? And secondly, they feel that it is beneficial to collaborate with these kinds of life being outside the space. But in our side, we think that it is an unnecessary thing. So I'm here now to explain to you why it is unnecessary. Okay, first and foremost, everyone seated here need to understand something. Space exploration and ET life is something different, and we can say that ET life is under space exploration, but today we are not going to deny that space exploration is not good. It's just that we will abandon the searching for ET life. So, why is it not needed? It's because search for ET life is wasting ample of money. See, it's not a normal searching, it's a searching about something outer space. Fighting for aliens. Look at NASA's. How much expenses are being spent by them to do space exploration? It's not just thousands, millions, billions, but it's trillions amount of money we might not be able to earn by an individual in their whole life. Your side might be curious, where is the money going for? Okay, you see, a base, where is the office or company built? The staff and the professionals in this field, the suits, the facilities, think of the rocket bursting up to the space. how much money is using for your every time bursting up to the space to search for aliens? And do you think there will only be once, there will be thousands times trying to go out there because you want to search more but you feel that it is unnecessary? Yes, you might think that this all things is worthy to do for space exploration, but it's not necessary for searching ET life. So, first of all, why it is not necessary? It's not only because of money wasting, it is also time consuming. Do you know that we use 500 years to waste to prove that the question of whether the earth is round? And the question of is there any living things outside the outer space is still remain there and still remain us in the dark. So why is it so significant for side opposition to search for an ET life? Okay, think of it. How many resources need to be wasted and how many people are being researching on this where the results still doesn't show? And let's think of it, a question. Do you think our next generation will continue this project? Yes, maybe in the 21st century, people are interested in the questions of whether there is something living outside the outer space. But you couldn't assume that there will be someone in the next generation interested in it. So, if in the future this project is being abandoned, do you think that the effort and the money that we consume in this project is needed now? So, why not we just abandon it now to avoid the waste in the future? Second thing, money is the thing that people working for the whole life and chasing for. But today, same opposition is going to waste all these things under one thing is only EP searching. Instead of doing that, we should actually focus more on the society, which is the stakeholders we are aiming for today. We wanted to provide a better society by making good use of monies. Look at the world. So many disasters are happening nowadays. Tsunamis, pollutions, earthquakes, and the list goes on. There's something more important that we need to do instead of searching for ET life. We should use that money to spend on polishing our environment, building some association to contribute money in creating things like some special stuff to cover up with radioactives and provide a better earth for humans to live in. Besides, money shouldn't be spent on searching ET life, but should be spent on helping the poorest one. Look at us. We couldn't deny the status quo that poor are suffering in the wars, and this is happening around the world. Look at Venezuela. How many people are suffering from the war, and how many people are trying to run out from this country just because they are suffering there. So instead of wasting the money on searching ET, why don't we use the money to help them, lend a helping hand to them to save them from that shitty environment? So we are actually prioritizing the poor ones and don't want them to be just left on the ground. So simply saying, in our work, we are trying to provide a better society by using the work in the poor one and helping and saving the environment, but not just wasting our money in searching for the ET life, and it might be abandoned in the future world, but not only now. And however, in their side, they are providing a world where they wanted to search for a lot of ET life, which is actually unnecessary for us, and they are actually neglecting the others poor one and neglecting the world which need money more on it. So with that, I will now be prouder to rest my case.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I invite the Leader of Opposition to start the case for opposition. Here.
Yes. I think that when we live in a world where resources are limited and scientists are finding numerous ways to ensure the continuity of life, we think that ET research is very urgent on our side. But before that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day to all. So moving on to my rebuttals. So the Prime Minister told to us that having ET research would be a waste of money. But we tell you, why this isn't a problem. Because when you invest money for scientific research, surely will give a lot of results in the future. For example, when NASA did research about the planets and all, and it did develop new technologies from this research, we think that it would benefit the society at the end of the day. So even though you use millions of money, it would be benefiting the society for years to come. So we don't think that it would be a waste of money. And my second response is that the companies that do this research, for example, like NASA, NASA, they already have money coming in. They already have a continuous supply of money allocated for these type of researches. So we don't think why this would be a problem at the end of the day, because the reason why these companies are there is to do research. So we don't think why that would be a problem at the end of the day. And my third response is that, like, when they talk to you about they could use this money for like poor people and all, we think that this isn't really relevant, because like the government knows how to allocate money and divide money according to like the priority. Just because you want to do ET research doesn't mean that you can't like give money to the poor at the same time. So we think that the government is smart enough, and they have a lot of economists to like actually prioritize like the problems that they want to solve. And we tell you that when they told you about like poverty and all, like the way of solving poverty isn't necessarily by giving money, right? It's about giving job opportunities and education at the end of the day. So we don't think why like poverty is something like relevant in today's debate. It's because just because you want to do like scientific research doesn't mean that you can't solve other problems at the same time. So and they also told us that they wanted to like focus on the society by building like new other alternatives that they didn't really like characterize to us, but like I'll assume that like other technologies. And let me tell you that this scientific research is for the society. Like these scientific research, like researching about the ET and all would give back to the society, and this is what brings me to my first argumentation. So my burden of proof, like what I would prove in my speech, is firstly why like that extraterrestrial life does exist, and even if it does, like the solid reason that they do isn't really present like in the future, but why just investing and researching about it is still beneficial regardless. And secondly, how like making research would benefit the society, and why the money invested is still worth it. So moving on to my first argumentation, which like ET is a new field of science. So why do people like study science at in the first place, right? It's because like when people study science, they get to like improve technologies and improve the quality of life. Like why do people like study physics? Like how do people invented the Newton law, and why it was important? It's because like from that type of technology, that type of knowledge that they do, they get to invent it, like aeroplanes and vehicles that people still use to this very end of the day. So like, what if that didn't happen? What would our life would be? What would our life would look like if that type of research didn't happen? And for example, like biology, right? Why like people study biology is now they get to invent a lot of other technologies that people use right now, like genetic screening, and wonders that our minds had never crossed. So like even if you think that like ET would be like you never would think like ET would be beneficial in the future, but we never know, right? As humans, our brains are limited to a certain extent, and you like never know until you really find. You never know until like a few years of discovery. So maybe if they said that like ET didn't exist, but we never know unless we continue the research. And we tell you that there are a lot of signs that ET did, like ET life does exist, and I'll tell you like a few examples. For example, like NASA found signs of living things on planet Mars when they found like carbon-based buildings, blocks of lights, and discovery of a huge like leak under the planet, like proving that this ET life did exist. So like now, like these scientists have already found signs of this ET life still existing. We think that it is justified for them to continue the research because they have already found like scientific and solid facts. So like even if you want to say that these facts could be questioned, but we think that if you want to, we think that like continuing this type of research would be beneficial. So now moving on to my second level of analysis about looking at it from the philosophical perspective. Like another reason of why people study science isn't just about improving technology and improving human quality, but it's also about answering the questions that we have around us. As humans, we know that we live our lives questioning the existence of ourselves, questioning why we are here and what we should do as humans. So we think that when you like discover a certain part of science, these type of questions could be answered. Your curiosity could be answered. And why do you think it's important is that why this like answering these questions are important? It's because it makes your life more complete. Your definition of life more complete when you know why you are here, when you know the existence of yourself, and you know so we think that is important because you you have like a more complete definition of life. So that is also a reason why we think that when you investigate about ET, you actually like indirectly get to know more about yourself. And when you like study about other organisms, it makes you like more closer, and it gives you like a more belief to like a whole new definition of life. So that is why we think that is important. So what have I told you today is I've already told to you that investing money would be beneficial at the end of the day because technology, as humans we are urgent for the need of technology, right? We are living in a place where like resources are being limited, where space in the space on the earth is being limited. Where like China had to do a one-child policy because the space on the earth was being limited. So we think that when we go and opt for ET research, we could find like other alternatives on continuing our way of life, and this argument would be further extended by my second speaker. So with that, I'm proud to thank you.
Thank you, Leader of Opposition. The call Deputy Prime Minister. Sit here.
Yes. Extraterrestrial beings, as we know, it was part of the past. It has been existing in the past, but the recent thing that we have to discover now is it necessary in our 21st century? Is that search really becoming part of our 21st century? And with that, in my speech for today, I'll be answering two questions. The first question that I'll be answering is, what is it really necessary in our 21st century? And also, how would this search of extraterrestrial beings actually change the mindset of the human century, and will it really give that big impact? Now, before I move on to answering that questions, there are several attacks from me coming from side opposition. So the first speaker, she has came up to us and she has been telling us about how space exploration would actually encourage more technological development such as aeroplanes. But one question that we would all like to know, does that really come from the knowledge of extraterrestrial search in the first place? No, it comes from the research of technology and not just the knowledge that you get from ET. People did not just go and do ET just to increase technological development that was not part of status quo, and she has failed to engage with reality, which makes her point will not stand at the end of the day. Now, moving on to answering my first question, is it really a necessity in our 21st century? This leads us to my first point, that the search of ET would harm Earth. How will it harm Earth? Actually, I'm going to talk about two ways, which is the first way, which is it will actually prevent our search and attempt for colonization in other planets.
we have to acknowledge the fact and that the importance of us to colonize other planets is our Earth is dying right now. In status quo, the effort to search for other planets for human colonization is being done for a new home to avoid human extinction. So let's say if inside opposition's world, if extraterrestrial beings are being searched more in depth and vastly, the attempt to search for colonizing other planets will be stopped. Why? Because more money is being allocated for that kind of research. And when more money is allocated for that certain part of that research, it would actually be the barrier for searching for more human colonization, and we will not find a new home for our humankind. And humans will be actually stuck in Earth with various problems ongoing, such as global warming that will actually threaten humankind. And in the end, this leads to the harm of Earth, as humans might will be continue polluting Earth, and humankind might extinct at the end of the day, which leads to the harm of Earth in the first place. And also another way which actually leads to the harm of Earth, which is the effect of this research. Even if there are extraterrestrial beings, this will obviously alert an advanced alien intelligence in presence to our galaxy, which means when we do this research, it will actually alert the people that there are extraterrestrial beings in Earth. And this might cause chaos that might actually affect our Earth in a long-term basis. Well, there might be, this research might actually alert extraterrestrial beings in other planets to probably invade our planet, and this may create chaos between humans and extraterrestrial beings that might make humankind extinct at the end of the day. Which also leads us to the harm of Earth, as humankind might extinct, and we cannot guarantee that humankind might survive at the end of the day. Now this moves on to my second question. Supposedly, if tomorrow we woke up to learn that extraterrestrial life had been discovered, what difference does that make? Try thinking about it. Would they strengthen or weaken our faith in God, or science, or humanity? Would they force to re-evaluate the importance of our own lives, values, and projects? Well, you see, the truth is, the way humanity views lives, that it would change, and that change might not be for the better. For instance, as I said, chaos would spread worldwide for the discovery of extraterrestrial life. And in this case, it would be better for us to be ignorant, as this causes worldwide chaos that would harm the most important stakeholder, which is the society, something that side opposition has failed to come up here and tell us how their side, by doing this extraterrestrial search, how it would impact the society, something that they failed to answer at the end of the day. And by looking at academical philosophy today, this extraterrestrial life is looked at with a lot of suspicion, and of course scientists are the ones doing this research, as they think that it could be beneficial for them, as what was explained by my first speaker earlier in her speech. So what happens is, when we do find this life, for instance, the outcomes would only be bad, and we also believe that humans would never coexist with all these extraterrestrial life, and too many questions would go unresolved. For instance, how would a world of this human and life and humanity would look like, or even what about the possibility of these said lives characterizing with us instead? There are only two possibilities. One, we are alone in this galaxy, and another, we aren't. So when we, the second possibility is way more terrifying, because when we aren't alone in this galaxy, it actually might really impact the mentality of people, where humankind would actually change their mentality about extraterrestrial beings, which would actually cause the situation to be more severe in terms
of preserving humankind, this actually impacts the peace of the society. There won't be any peace, and that is what we want to achieve at the end of the day, which is peace. But sadly, side opposition does not know that this search of extraterrestrial lives can impact our society in many ways. With that, I've never been prouder to oppose.
Thank you. I call Deputy Leader of Opposition.
The problem is right now the government side is assuming that all of this research, all of the money allocated for this research is not going to be successful at the end of the day. Well, you cannot assume that there's no potential success of this research because NISA and all other organizations have allocated a lot of money in investing to this type of research at the very first place. So, firstly, there are a few rebuttals coming to side of government. So firstly, is when they say that there's not going to be any advancement in technology for ET research right now. So we tell you, when we invest a lot of money for this type of research, then we can have an advancement of technologies. For example, we can have satellites, because as these type of research are related to astronomy, therefore you can help this field to expand at the very first stage. Secondly, when they say that we're wasting a lot of money, we're wasting a lot of money for this type of research, right? But tell you right now, yeah, sure, we're investing a lot of money for this type of research, but then it's really important for you to execute this research in the very first place because it's going to be very beneficial in the future. All of the points that our teacher propose is when we identify this ET in the very first place, we can help the society when there's any disaster happening on Earth. We can relate back to the existence of ET so that we can save Earth at the end of the day. So thirdly is when they say that the society is going to be chaos when society knows about the existence of ET. Right now, and then the mentality will be changed. Firstly, government side didn't even tell us what are the harms of changing their mentality in the very first place, right? So even if you say that society will start to believe in ET, we don't see any problem with that. So even if you say that that the mentality will change, then we believe that that government would not even reveal this type of information to the public because of how society is going to react at the very first place. And thirdly, if these astronomers, if these scientists who's doing this research choose to ignore any form of invasion that they're claiming, well, we'll tell you right now, if you choose to ignore, then there's not going to be any preparation in the future. Therefore, it's going to be further harmful to our planet. So, now, moving on to my argument, which is the continuity of life. Firstly, what do we mean by continuity of life? We mean that it's a form of alternative to ensure the population on Earth so that it won't just stop if anything happens. Because we have seen science showing that there's possibilities of this type of life existing outside of Earth, right? Because, for example, as you can see that when my previous speaker told you how Mars has critical ingredients for life. There's a possibility of how it contains liquid water and energy source for population, for living organisms, right? So, and this research is still ongoing by NISA. Therefore, we need to continue this type of research to ensure the population that is on Earth. So if anything happens, we're going to have we don't want population of humans or any other organism to just end on Earth. And secondly, why it's really important is because we need to know of this presence of ET, right? It's really important because we want to ensure the survival of humans at the end of the day. That is why we're investing a lot of money on this type of research, right? When we know that there's other organisms who manage to live outside of Earth, we can if anything happens, when, for example, if there is really energy source in Mars, therefore, if anything happens on Earth, we can use the energy source to ensure the survival of the Earth population. And secondly, to tell you, the Earth is literally dying like what they're claiming. So the alternative, the option is we can see that the Earth has limited resources of water, extinction of plants and animals, right? So to solve this problem, to solve the problem of us dying in the very first place, we need to find other alternatives, which is to continue ET research. When we know that there are other organisms living beside us, we can these scientists can do whatever it takes to ensure that the population of Earth will still continue at the end of the day. So we already told you how it's really important for us to do this type of research because scientists even provide proof that says that the maximum point of population ends at 2040. Therefore, this research needs to be continued at the end of the day. And thirdly, we also see that there's proof for possible success of continuing this research at the end of continue this research, right? Because we can see that life is only found in tiny region. It's only on Earth, but we can see that the universe is really, really big. So you cannot make assumptions that that all of this research is going to fail at the end of the day. So, what will happen if we don't continue this type of research, right? If we abandon this type of research, is that the only other option to save population on Earth is genocide, by murdering a lot of people to reduce population on Earth. And then, or secondly, that they are going to prioritize a certain group of important people and abandoning all of these poor people at the end of the day. So it's going to be worse if they don't find any other alternatives to save Earth and then to save Earth. So, what did we told you? We told you how this research is really important, and that we don't mind of the money allocated for this type of research because it's going to be beneficial for the human population at the end of the day. And secondly, it's really important for us to have identify all of extraterrestrial life, the presence of these extraterrestrial life, because of how it's going to benefit back to the population on Earth at the end of the day. So, it is something that you cannot predict, right? You cannot predict whether it does exist or not. So, things that have possibility of success is worth investing for. That is what opposition side is trying to fight today. And by that, I'm proud to host.
Thank you. I call Government Whip. Summarize the case of government. Thank you.
Team opposition for today may have good intentions, but they do not understand what is at stake. They do not understand that the intangible benefits that they could provide us today will never outweigh the harms that could happen if you do prolong the search of extraterrestrial life for today. So what did the first speaker talk to us about? So firstly, she rebutted us saying that we should invest money in research. Investing money in research is good, but I agree. But research that has continuously never given us any results, research that has been going on for so long and has never been giving us enough benefits, I believe should be halted. We can use that time, we can use that money for other things, as said by my first speaker for today. maybe we have proof, maybe even if we have a little bit of proof that this ET life does exist, then of course we will still do this research. She has been keep on giving us examples about things that have already succeeded, but those things at first require proof that they actually have the opportunity to work in the first place, compared to extraterrestrial life where there's no actual proof that this exists outside of our galaxy, which is why at the end of the day we believe that this research should not be continued and we should use the money and resource and time for other things. Okay, let's talk about how if we have extraterrestrial search, we will give back to the society, and she gave a lot of examples about devices that have already been made to contribute to society. But she has never told us how, when we discover other beings that could be beneficial to society, so most of the speech was about devices that could be beneficial to society. What about life? Extraterrestrial is actually a life, are actually different beings that are different from humans. They are outside of our realm, they are outside of our knowledge. You have to tell us how will that creatures that we do find can be beneficial to society. Are you going to give them job opportunities? Are you going to give them accommodation in our world? You have never explained any of that. And then after, because look at status quo, how would they help the progression of society? In status quo, where we do not have extraterrestrial, I don't see our society failing. Our society is progressing, our society is developing in all kinds of fields, and this is without extraterrestrial life. She has not proven to me how with extraterrestrial life this benefit could be furthered and deepened more, which is why her point fails to stand for today. And my first speaker has already told you that ET will only burden humanity more. For example, a lot of questions are unresolved. Will we be the ones to accommodate for them? How will we coexist with them side by side? How will our government work with them, for example, side by side? And her only response to how it helps society is that one question will be answered, which is that we are not alone in the universe. And I will tell you later on in my speech why ignorance in this case is better than answering that question. And then just to prove to us for today, how does the benefit to society outweigh the harm of continuing to be ignorant, which she obviously did not do. And she has also talked about how we wouldn't find enough space that we obviously direly need. Well, I agree, but she has already gone out of track. We are fine with looking for other planets to live in. We are fine with continuing the research to find other places to be homes to us humans. If you are running out of space in Earth, we just do not want to actively seek out ET at the end of the day. And Yasa has here proved to us why ET is so important for the progression of humanity, for the progression of society. Let's move on to the second speaker. Science and technology exploration is still happening in the Earth. We are still finding ways to prolong human life being by searching for different planets, and that is the main urgent thing in which is needed to ensure human beings will never be extinct at the end of the day. You have never told us how when you find these creatures, how when you realize the existence of these creatures, will they prolong your human life. Most of her speech was about finding places that will prolong your human life, but she has to prove to us today why these creatures and the knowledge that these creatures exist and how will these creatures prolong our human life. And she has gone out of track in the effort to support her stand for today. Now let's look what she asked us for today. What are the harms of changing the mentality? Well, I'll tell you, the unknown is always scary. The knowledge of life other than us outside of the Earth is a very bad thing. And we have already told you in our second speaker how that change will only be a bad change and it will never be a good change. And then she told us that the government has an obligation to not reveal the info if we ever do find extraterrestrial life outside of Earth. We think this is ridiculous, as this info would be life-changing, and of course it would have to be shared to the society as a whole. Now let's move on to argument as a whole. Life will continue, but she has failed to support her case line. Again and again we have said, and it's very repetitive because that is the only idea they are presenting to us. Again and again they have said that we need to find life, but they have never connected to us how by finding this extraterrestrial life and finding places for us to live will be linked. They have never made the link for us. Finding places for us to live and finding extraterrestrial life, finding other beings other than human are two separate things, and they have gone out of track when they are only supporting the stance of finding other places for us to live. Now let's look at the worst and best case for today. What is the worst thing that could happen on our side when we choose to abandon the search for extraterrestrial life? Well, obviously there will be no search for extraterrestrial life, and we will never know for sure if there are other beings other than ourselves in the galaxy. The best case their side, there would be the possibility of finding extraterrestrial life. Now on to the most important part of my speech and the most important question for today. Why is the ignorance of not knowing whether extraterrestrial life exists is justifiable? Let me tell you why it's better. Obviously knowledge is important, but not this kind of knowledge. The knowledge that we are not alone, as I've already told you in all of my speakers, would cause widespread panic among the society, and peace would be a long forgotten term. Don't forget that when we find and search for ET life, we are also making ourselves known to them, and that could cause a lot of harm in itself as well. We do not know what kinds of knowledge, what kinds of technology that they have, and we believe at the end of the day that will also be a big disadvantage to us as a society. We do not know what dangers await us, as the OP never set up a case line about looking from a distance in the first place. They have never set up a case line where we will look from a distance and then only we will find it more. So I believe it is correct to assume that it will be very dangerous to look for this ET life outside of Earth. Let's be realistic, not idealistic. Thank you.
Thank you. My opposition
Sorry.
to summarize the case from opposition.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum and very good evening. Two things I'll be giving my speech today. Firstly, I'll rebut all the points coming up from the government side. And secondly, I'll do a comparative analysis of what will happen in the both worlds. So firstly, rebuttal. What they're saying about doing this research is just wasting money and time consuming and all. Well, I think on the other side, my previous speakers has already mentioned to you about how this research, is all worth it at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, all this research will give back to the society, will contribute to the society. Even if we don't know what this research will do in the short term being, we believe that in long term, this research will benefit to the society. For example, in developing a certain area, you don't know whether the area will be developed or whether the area would be run down or anything, but still the government invests in developing that area in intention of bringing up the area for citizens to live comfortably and whatnot. Sure, the result can't be seen in the next few months, but for the next 5 years, maybe we can see the area being brought out and all. And about them saying about natural disasters, well, ladies and gentlemen, let's be realistic. For now, we can't see a full stop of these disasters. What's going to happen? Because like how Alisha has already mentioned to you, with these natural disasters occurring day by day, we think that the earth is dying, and with that, we need to find an alternative. And that is why we have this ET research, to find an alternative if something happens to the world. We can't just sit back, relax, and watch these natural disasters occurring. But if something happens in the earth in the next 10 years, at least we have an option, at least we have an alternative. And next, about helping the poor, Sophia has already told you about how the government will provide a specific allocation, no thank you, about how the government will provide a specific allocation in governing the people or in governing the economy. And we do think that this allocation in R&D would somehow affect the poor in a way. We can't see the link in that, so we think with that their point falls. And about how it harms the earth and chaos, we think that this point is unreliable because in 2004, when NASA found out about the Jupiter's moon, Europa, about how it shows signs of living, about how it resembles Earth, the people know and they responded quite well to it. And actually after that, there has been a few organizations offering to support or offering to sponsor to do a further research on this project. No, thank you. And so with that, we don't think that even if this information of this research will lead to the people, we don't think that this will create chaos at the end of the day. And next, about human extinction, we think that there is lack of clarification coming from the side of government because they already mentioned to us about chaos, natural disasters and whatnot, but we can't see the link between chaos, natural disasters, and somehow eventually they mentioned to us about human extinction, so we think we need more clarification on that. And next, about how it impacts the society. We think that we have already mentioned to you
you in my first and second speaker about how this research would actually about how this research would enhance the technology in the next few years, as how it has been already enhancing the technology in the past few years back. Like how NASA has already invented, like how NASA and SATI has found out new technology about satellites and whatnot. So we think that this eventually gives back to the people and somehow it impacts the society. And Alicia also mentioned to you about how the continuity of life, about how when we find these resources, about when we find new planets outside of Earth, about how it will ensure continuity of life when something happens to Earth in the next few years. And also about not giving any benefits about this research. We think that in 2003, when NASA did a research on Mars about how they found out there's ample of water source and the temperature is quite suitable for humans to live in, it somehow gives us hope that if something happens to Earth, at least we have an alternative. So we think that all this research is not being gone to waste. It is somehow benefiting us in a way. It's just that we can't see the outcome right now. Yes.
So if you give an example of how if you told them there were other creatures alongside humanity.
For now, there has not been any research showing that there is species on previous Europa, so we can't really predict. But even so, we think that the society will still react well, so long as the organism or the beings in the planet does not harm humans. And next, about investigating lives. So we think that with this research being done, then maybe we can find a new information, or maybe it can somehow bring benefits to lives on Earth. For example, maybe they found other lives or other, maybe if they found other lives or other organisms or other planets, then maybe they'll find new animals that will provide new source of food and whatnot. Maybe they'll find a source of water that will never run out. No, we can't predict the future, and that's why we think that this research is essential. And next, about finding the ET life and what will happen in Earth, we also think that we already clarified to you on how if we keep on doing this research, we'll keep on gaining more information, we'll keep on gaining more knowledge, and from there, we can progress to betterment. Rather than just sit down and not do anything about it, then we're not going to progress at all. And about ignoring, because they mentioned that how there'll be tangible harms, how it will be dangerous for us, possible invasions and whatnot. We tell you that they're living in a comfort zone. We can't progress if we keep on living in a bubble. If we just sit back and relax, like how Alicia has already mentioned to you, how scientists have done research showing that the maximum population on Earth will be reached by 2040. That's like 20 years from now. Are we just gonna sit back, relax, and not do anything about it? Why not we just keep on doing research and at least we have an alternative? We're not saying that all humans are going to be transferred in the next 5 years or whatnot, but at least we are doing something about it rather than just sitting down and not doing anything. So next, what will happen at the gold worlds? Their worlds are just closing the doors of opportunity of us living in another planet. And their side is also ignoring the fact that the world we live in right now is overpopulated. So they would give up the chance of doing this research, they would give up the chance of any progress in the future just because they want to live in the comfort zone. Well, under our side, we think that there is an urgency on this research because if anything happens in 2040, at least we have an option, at least we have an alternative. And with that being said, for the sake of humanity, we think that this research should continue. Thank you.
Thank you. To wrap up the debate on opposition side, I would like to invite opposition reply.
Ladies and gentlemen, we think that not knowing whether ET exists or not is much more harmful than us knowing it. For example, why do we really want to know why ET really exists and what it offers to us? Is, for example, we never know like whether aliens are harmful to us or not, like whether aliens like can talk or do like anything to us as humans. So like when we do research about these aliens and whether they do exist and any of the harms that they could offer to us, we could make preparation. For example, if there were to be like a discovery about aliens being harmful to the humans on Earth, the government and the whole world can do preparations in order to prepare maybe aliens that would invade us in a few years. So we never know the possibilities that they are. So knowing about these possibilities could make us prepared in the future, more in the future. And secondly, we tell you that maybe the possibilities that we see in the world nowadays, maybe even it isn't obvious, it may be true in the next few years. For example, when the Wright brothers wanted to make an airplane, nobody thought it was possible. Everybody thought it was a waste of time, a waste of energy, and all. But this is seen to parallel to what is happening with ET. Some people think that ET is a waste of money and all, but we never know maybe it would have a lot of benefits in the future, because we tell you that our mind is very limited, and therefore these type of researches are very, very important. And we tell you that why discovering ET is very important is because when we discover a new organism, we never know what benefits that organism can give to us. For example, scientists discovered viruses and microorganisms and animals, they did use these type of organisms and maximize the benefits from it. For example, we use animals to eat, we eat animals, and microorganisms to make vaccines and all. So we never know what these ET organisms can benefit us in the world. And then we tell you about the philosophical perspective from it, right? So knowing about these new creatures is really important because it gives us a new perspective of life. For example, when we learn science, right? We learn about our body and all. We feel more complete because we know what we are made from. So we never know there is because scientific research has shown that there are proof that ET does exist. I told you, there are pictures of satellites and all. So we think that discovering all fields of science is important to bring a whole new life to humanity. And lastly, we tell you that discovering about these aliens and things and all may benefit us in the future, knowing that maybe we wouldn't live in this earth in the next few years, knowing that maybe this earth will be destroyed in the next few years, right? We never know. So on their side, they just wanted to explore the space, but they didn't want to explore aliens. So if you wanted to explore the space, but you didn't want to explore aliens, so we don't think there would be any point, because on our side we want to do both. So when we want to do both, then there is high possibility of this research actually being fruitful at the end of the day. With that, I thank you.
To wrap up the debate as a whole, I would like to invite Galvin back. Here.
Yes. A world that Psyduck is chasing off is dumping all the money in the black hole for just an answer: does ET exist? I'm here to sum up our own arguments and list down Psyduck arguments and compare why is ours better than theirs. Before starting, I'm here to restate our case line, which have been stated from the first day and have been never engaged from Psyduck. We support the research for science and technology, but we didn't support ET. Now, moving on, here is a clash point where our side feel it is unnecessary to do ET research, but they feel that it is a necessity to search for ET life. We, side government, have proved to you that having searching on ET is just wasting time, money, and resources, where they should be well used in other sectors and give you a clear picture. Compared to your side, you are bringing up to us of an argument of investing money on science and technology is beneficial. So why is ours better than yours, and why do your point doesn't stand? Because our case line has been set up from the first day, which is we support science and technology. And we are not searching of ET life only. So we still can search, we still can make invention, we still can make creation, and we still can continue NASA. It's just that we wanted to abandon the searching for ET life. So they completely neglect our case life from the first day until the last, and eventually make the points fall. Everything they are searching for is just a specific question which is not really important. So let's just wait it. Do you want this? Do you want just the answer, or do you want the better of the society? Okay. Secondly, I'm here to tell what have our side been mentioning on, and what is our arguments. We have told you that the search would harm Earth in two ways. One, when money is allocated more for ET search and not for vital things such as human colonizations, which place more importance than ET in status quo. Secondly, we have also proved how humanity would view the importance of ET to get support they need to pursue such research. We have said that the undeniable fact that chaos might occur in when it alerts ET beings to include in the Earth. Humanity is essential where something side out never existed. And what is their second argument is talking about investing money on science and technology is beneficial. So their second argument is about the continuity of life and tell us the alternatives to ensure population on the Earth. We have clearly stated in the host case line, and my third speaker had also explained in her rebuttals, that science and technology's exploration is still happening in the Earth. We are still finding ways to prolong human being life by searching different places, different planets that we could change our Earth to, and human being to ensure that human being will never extinct. And it also mentioned by side opposition, talking that human is going to Earth is going to couldn't be lived by human anymore, and we need to find a new space to live. Yes, but we are going to do that exploration not in ET but in normal space exploration, which they have never been touching. So it doesn't bring any link with the research of ET. So if they didn't prove to us researching of ET can provide a new planet to live and to live in. So they didn't convince me, so I don't take convince.
Thank you. Keep the cross, shake hand, and wait for the results to close the ceremony.
Let's go out. Go out.
All right, let's give them a round of applause for the Novice grand finals. Okay, so the result will be announced later during the closing ceremony. So for now, everyone can go for lunch. It's at the second floor. Thank you so much.
You guys did great job. Thank you.